Hey everybody, it's Brandon Scheid with Liquid Force Kites, and oh boy do I got something special for you today. I want to talk with you about a board that I'm really excited about for 2020, and it's the Boom. And we call it the Boom because that's what it is. It's an explosion. It is just a full-on park destroyer. So we based this board off of coming from, Liquid Force Wake. We have access to a lot of wakeboards. So we were looking at some of the wakeboards in the Liquid Force line, and we've always dreamed about having a kiteboard that could just ride really well in the park and in a wake style capacity, as well as transfer directly over to a cable board. And I think with the new construction techniques and some of the new shapes that Liquid Force Wake has been putting to work, we were finally able to find a shape that worked really well for kiteboarding, adapted a little bit to our needs, and in the end we ended up with this amazing board. Once again, it's called the Boom. Now this board comes in one size. It's a 150. We're kind of following the trend in wakeboarding right now, in that boards are getting bigger and longer, so you have more of a snowboard style feel. You have a lot more tip and tail. It's more forgiving, makes pressing a lot more fun, and it gives you a lot more board surface on the water. It makes you get up and plane a lot easier. And it's just a little bit more fun to have a little bit more nose and tail. So again, this thing comes in one size, 150. Now, I think that'll work for a majority of most of the larger size park riders, even down to some of the smaller ones. We've had some shorter people on it. And don't be afraid. Just because it's a big board doesn't mean you can't ride it. I've had my girlfriend Sensi on a board this big, and it's kind of a stigma that you have to have a small twin tip. I think this is something that we're trying to change with this board. So, as I said, it does come from a wakeboard, so first things first, you can look at the rocker. This thing has a lot of rocker. That means when you're rolling up into your nose press, it's gonna press super well as when you land, this thing is gonna take anything that you can throw at it. I sent the kicker yesterday. I must have went a 20-foot method, and I landed, and it just squishes right to the water. It holds really well. It really feels like it has that stomping capacity. Tricks just feel so great. So rocker is a big thing. Another big thing here that we have that you can't necessarily quite see, but we've changed the flex tip pattern in here. So we have a series of concentric parabolas that get smaller in the tips. Think of like ripples in a pond. And those really dial in the flex in the tip. It gives you a really springy, lively feel when you lean into a nose press, so that you can pop out of your nose presses, or if you push really hard on the water for that last little bit of pop when you're doing a big front to blind or something, this really snaps and gives you that really explosive release from the water. This board is full wood core, and it's a profiled wood core, meaning we take a planer and we change the thickness from the center hull to the tip and tail. This board comes pretty thick in the center hull. It makes it nice and stiff underneath your feet so that it's solid and that it really feels 100% when you land underneath your feet. But tapers off into the tips nicely to give you a nice flex and lively press feel. That full wood core is then wrapped in our liquid rail, which is a poured urethane rail, and that poured urethane rail is like a skateboard wheel, and it's kind of gooey and sticky. Not only does it flex, it also grips these top and bottom sheets really well, making a really durable edge. So if you happen to ping the corner on something, it just kind of takes it with a beating. On the bottom here, we have our grind base. It's bomb-proof. As you can see, this one's pretty scuffed up, but I've had this thing in Brazil for over a month, and then down here in Mexico riding metal handrails that are barnacle encrusted, things that aren't, park 100% plastic rails, kind of like what you'd see at your home park. And this thing is just taking a beating, whether I ride it on the beach, over the shells, whatever. This grind base is indestructible. So we have a great grind base here on the bottom. And then our bottom shape, what we have here is just a smooth single concave through the whole board. It's really important when you're riding a wakeboard rocker on a kite that you have the most efficient bottom shape you can have. You don't want any drag. You don't want anything to slow you down because you already have a bunch of rocker to kind of eat that power. So this board is really efficient and gets up to speed rather well. I don't really notice it too much, the increased amount of rocker. Yeah, you maybe have to ride just a little bit more kite size, but the trade-off is worth it for the solid landings and just the rock solid feel of this board. The board itself Comes with inline M6 inserts that gives you a variety of stance options, as well as allows you to swap your board around for a new heel side edge if you need to. Once again, this board was designed to be a park killer. So for those of you that ride kite park or want a board that really rides like a wakeboard in your air tricks or your wake style tricks that you're doing on the water, this is going to satisfy that need. It also rides really well at the cable. So for those of you that are looking for one board that you can kiteboard on, you can ride at the cable, you could winch with, whatever you want to do on this board, it can handle it all. And that's been a dream of mine for a while as I travel to cable and park events around the world. I just want one board that I can ride that I'm really into when I'm doing park style riding. That doesn't mean I'm not riding the Echo when I'm doing strictly flat water tricks or I'm looking for a board that's quicker on the water. But if I'm looking for my park killer, my day in and day out in Hood River, it's for sure the Boom, and it's amazing.